Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about if you need a Nemesis or Raven weapon right now. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload PSO2 content daily, so I would appreciate a subscribe, especially if you play this game. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So a lot of people have been asking me about my body pillow. This is Skyfire from Arknights. She's my waifu, and I can't show you the other side, I'm sorry. Anyway, with that out of the way, the question to your answer is no. You do not need a Nemesis or Raven weapon right now. And the reason I say that is because of the cost. Nemesis weapons are ridiculous right now. So look, we're going to go to a marketplace, personal shop, and literally it's like the top, right? You can see Nemesis Cougar. And it says, you know, the cheapest one you can get, which is an ice element with 2 sockets, is 30 million meseta. And that's a lot of money. And it ramps up really quickly. Like 3 katanas down, it's at 42 million. And it just goes up, 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 up. And these prices for regular player is way out of your budget. There's no way you're going to get this much meseta unless you farm for weeks on end. Or if you just go no life and you just flip items over and over and over. Or you farm extreme missions. TLDR, you need to play a lot of PSO2 to make this much meseta. So that was the Nemesis weapons. Let's look at the Raven weapons. The Raven weapons aren't that much better either. They're all at around 30 million. Sure, like, you know, you've got a lot more choice. You can get some decent weapons, like this one is a light element with 6 augments for 38 million. You know, this is reasonable, but it's still quite expensive. So the way that I see it is Nemesis and Raven weapons are luxury items. If you can't afford them, you don't need to break a leg, sell a kidney to try to get one of these, okay? It's something nice to have if you can afford it, but if you don't have the means to get these weapons, it's perfectly fine because there are a lot of alternatives that a lot of people skip over because they want to get the best weapon at the moment. So we're going to take a look at all the different alternatives for the katana variants because I personally play a Braver a lot, and then I'm going to explain why you don't need a Nemesis or a Raven weapon. So first of all, the alternatives. You can use your Revulsio weapons. You get this free from your weapon collection folder. It's a decent weapon. It gives you Mastery 3, Stamina 3, Spirit 3, and right? So, you know, the stats are decent already. It's 4 PP, it gives you 35 melee damage, and 15 dex and 50 HP. And it also gives you perfect knockout, which perfect attack effectiveness increases by 8%. So as long as you're doing perfect attacks, that's great. It's extra damage. It's very, very nice, okay? Your second choice is a Ray Katana. Ray Katanas are very, very good. And even when you do get it to plus 35, later down the line, you can always use it for its special augment factor to take out an Astral Soul, so you can put it on a weapon. So no matter what you do with your Ray Katana, it will always turn out to be a good investment. And the next one is the Yamagarasu. I personally love this katana. Like, it's not amazing if you just compare raw melee power. You know, sure, the Nemesis Cougar has 1.6k melee power, while the Yamagarasu only has 1.4. Yes, that is a 200 melee power difference, but the Yamagarasu can be used on any class and is very, very flexible. And not only that, it also has the Wings of Twilight, which basically increases your damage whenever you do perfect attacks, as well as juggling different photon arts, which forces you to learn different combinations in order to play the Braver more effectively. And this is why I personally like the Yamagarasu, because it forces me to actually learn my class, forces me to experiment with different abilities, to test out different things to see what works for me. So these are 3 choices of weapons. However, I also missed out the Homura weapons. The Homura weapons is also a very solid choice. You can see that I use the Homura bow, and it gives you Mastery 3, Spirit 3, and Precision 3. But if you use the Katana variant, it'll give you Mastery 3, Spirit 3, and Might 3, which is also very decent. So there are plenty of weapons to choose. Sure, the Nemesis weapons, the Raven weapons will give you the most melee power, and it'll give you the most potential damage, and it gives you that really nice passive. But these are all quality of life and luxuries to have. They're not necessities. You can still do 4-man Deus, you can still do solo Profound Darkness with a Yamagarasu. You don't need to have Nemesis in order to do any of those content because of how the game is designed. PSO2 is designed around your knowledge of the class and your playstyle. As long as you know what skills complement each other, as long as you know the boss fight and you know where the weak spots of the bosses are and your game knowledge, you can overcome a lot of gear problems with just pure knowledge, which is really amazing and what makes PSO2 so special. But a lot of you guys may be chasing that end game. Maybe that's your goal in PSO2. That gives you satisfaction, that gives you fun in upgrading your gear and trying to chase down the best gear possible. And if you're one of those players, I just want to let you guys know when episode 5 comes in, we're getting 14-star weapons. We're getting a lot of new weapons which will be better than our current Nemesis and Cougar weapons. And yes, I do know that later down the line in like episode 6 that we can actually combine the Nemesis, the Raven, and the Ares weapon in order to make the 15-star weapon, but we're not getting that in episode 5. When episode 5 comes out, we'll get 14-star weapons, and there's going to be a period of time before we get 15-star weapons. So for players who don't have a Nemesis weapon, don't have a Raven weapon, and maybe you don't have that much Meseta, maybe you're on 10 million, 20 million Meseta, and you can't afford to buy a Raven weapon or a Nemesis weapon because, you know, it's 30 million, 50 million, whatever, like, don't worry about it. Just focus on what you have now. So coming in a few days, we are getting the augmentation bonus. What I would recommend is maybe use what money you have in order to affix your units or affix your weapons. Maybe get your weapon and your units to 5 affixes, because with the plus 10%, it's super easy. It's going to save you a ton of Meseta, and you should be able to get 5 affix units as well as 5 affix weapons pretty easily. And that way, later down the line, when you finally do upgrade to a Nemesis weapon, when they become a lot cheaper, or if you upgrade to your 14-star weapon, you can always use the augment transfer passes to transfer those augments over. And that way you're not overwhelmed and you're not stressing out over, oh, I don't have the best gear, what do I do, blah blah. Because to reiterate, you don't need to have these weapons. I can do Profound Darkness with a Yamigarasu. I can do all the content that I currently do without my Nemesis weapon. It's just a luxury item on the side which gives me a lot of quality of life. But you're paying a huge premium for this quality of life, which I personally don't think it's worth it unless, of course, you can afford it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome?